closed. Oh,
welcome to Minot Talk. Dude, that city council meeting last night?
That was a mess, dude. Stayed up way too late having to watch that.
Hey, they didn't hit the 7-hour mark.
It's true. Oh, that's true. It was about three and a half. I don't even think it was quite 3.5. It was a little over 3.
Incredible stuff, though.
Yep. That was something to watch.
Unprecedented might be a little bit too strong, but there was some pretty big changes that happened that we haven't seen in our time.
Not in the time we've been covering city council, without a doubt. It was some wild stuff going on.
Wild stuff happened there. Surrey played football.
We did. Might be our last game.
Oh no. More on that later.
Yeah. A lot more later.
More on everything later.
Big deep dive into this whole city council meeting going to be coming up here today.
It's going to be pretty epic.
Yep.
We're going to go to a quick 15-second ad break. We'll be back.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
Oh,
naturally.
Now we're back.
We're back. All right, man. So it was obviously second reading of the budget.
Yep. That was the big thing. That was obviously we've been discussing and waiting.
One thing we forgot to mention in the preview was that they also talked about the sales. There was 3 big things: budget, sales tax,
and then local preference.
Local preference.
Yep. I don't know if we mentioned the sales tax when we talked about it on Thursday.
Right.
But big stuff going on last night.
I would love to hear what people's thoughts are on last night's city council meeting, though.
If anyone had a chance to watch it live.
If you watched it, go and drop comments in the comment section. I guess that's how that would work. Would love to hear your feedback on it. So something I said unprecedented. That might be too strong. I'm not over here trying to be dramatic.
What?
Yeah,
Jonathan.
It's a change. It's a change, but rules got suspended for this one. And basically, to break down what that happens is generally, I believe, my understanding is generally speaking that there's basically Robert's Rules of Order that are used at these meetings. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to suspend the rules for a meeting, you can. And then basically, if there's majority vote, almost anything goes as far as what you can bring up and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
right as we're going into the budget discussion of the whole thing, because right away, start off the meeting, there was some planning commission stuff that all got unanimous.
We'll probably talk about that later. Who cares?
But rolling into the budget, you have it brought up by new alderman Mike Hayes to, what was it, Hayes? Or was it Lisa?
No, it wasn't. It was what happened.
Tell me what happened. I don't remember. This thing was so dumb last night.
Yeah, Kyler.
I'm not in a mood today. It's going to happen. I'm going to say something. I don't care. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, no. Those are the best days. All right. Deanne says it was dirty politics at its finest.
Yeah.
So
all 7 of them.
All 7 of them.
I don't care.
Kyler's going. Hey. So this is what happened. Budget gets kicked off, and their city staff had been working hard because it was said multiple times. We anticipated something like this might come up, and so we had meetings about this. City staff was working hard.
They were having meetings about the meeting.
Yes, they were. City staff was working hard in preparation for this.
Shout out city staff having to put up with this.
There was an attempt to suspend the rules for the meeting. Again, Robert's Rules of Order is the ruling deal for the meeting, and
when everybody says motion and you have to have a second, that's what that is.
That's part of what that is. Yeah. So, but what it does is says one of the rules that they have, and I don't know if this is from Robert. I don't know if this specific deal is from Robert's Rules or if this is something that they've added on top of it. Where if an amendment has passed, it's completed, it's done at a previous meeting, it can't be brought up unless somebody in the majority brings it up. Mm-hmm. So that's whether it's failed or whether it passed.
Notable example that we've dealt with on this was the Kemper land purchase from last year.
Yep.
Initially, it failed on a 3-3 vote, and then it got brought back up.
The reason why that got brought back up, it got brought up by Sorensen again, though, by city staff again, because they made changes to it. And so then it allowed for it to be brought back up.
Yeah.
There have been others, though, that people have wanted to bring back up, and they can't they needed somebody from the majority. Okay. There's one that it did happen to, and I forget what it was. But anyways, so what they did is there was a motion by, and this is a legal motion to make, to be clear. There was a motion made by Alderwoman Lisa Olson to suspend the rules of the meeting. And what this allowed for is that any motion, any amendment that had been completed on the budget could now be brought back up by anybody. And there was discussion that was had on that. And some feelings was, feel like everybody should be able to bring stuff up. I hear you. You can the first time, but after it's voted, like they literally could go, because the rules were suspended, they could literally have a passed vote. Like if somebody wanted to filibuster on a certain thing, they could just keep on bringing up that amendment because the rules had been suspended. Like now you could do whatever you want.
Caveat with this all, the rules were just suspended for this meeting too.
It's just for the meeting. That's how that works. Is rules get suspended per meeting basis. It's not forever.
Not an entirety thing.
And that was almost, it sounded like there was a misunderstanding on that even. It sounded like there was an idea that we were rewriting the rules of how these worked, and that was not true. So probably the least impact that it had on was Mike Hayes made a motion to reintroduce, this is like chronological order. So right after that suspension of the rules, it passed 4-3. Alderman Mike Hayes makes a motion to reintroduce a motion that he was in the majority on, where it was the League of Cities and the idea of not funding it, so that we would leave the League of Cities. City Minot would leave the
stop
League of
paying
Cities.
our dues for the League of City, and we would be out.
And that got reversed. Mike Hayes switched his vote, and that's fine. That's his choice, and that's all within even the rules, whether the rules were suspended or not.
Yeah,
I don't think it's good optics. I think it looks terrible for Minot.
Yeah,
I think that was the thing, and you talk after this, but I think that was the thing that was the most disappointing for me is I'm a fan of Minot. I want to see Minot succeed. I haven't invested like other people have in the community at all, but hopefully one day I can, and hopefully in some way can help make Minot a better place, whether that's small or whether that's large. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So I'm a fan of Minot, but this is, people can hate me for this. People can say whatever they want about this, but this was a meeting where I was like, dude, I'm kind of disappointed in Minot today.
That wasn't
because
great work.
It really looks terrible on a state stage where I think we were starting to kind of I overcome the things that have kind of bogged us down the last year. Felt like we were starting to set a new path, and this kind of showed we don't have it all together.
No, not at all. I got you're killing it, my guy. That's what happened.
That's what happened.
So you have the motion brought back, and it gets a 4-3 vote in favor now, with Hayes, Janser, Pittner, and Olson voting to renew the dues paying portion.
We're staying in the League of Cities.
So we are staying in the League of Cities. That is an official action at this point.
What was said by the people at the dais, because there was a lot of discussion that was had on this, and we wanted to cut clips, but we couldn't download the video off of YouTube. YouTube was taking too long to process the video, and we have another way to do it, but it takes too much time. Nonetheless, there was a lot of discussion had on that. And it was said by Alderman Olson that she did not suspend the rules to bring up the League of Cities. And so that's what you have to go by. Although it was,
So, and you mentioned optics earlier, and I think you make a good point.
Thank you.
Had this been brought up, the specific motion to reintroduce the League of Cities been brought up prior to the motion to suspend the rules, I think we're talking about a little bit different thing right now, because at that point you can separate them a lot more.
It'd be a lot easier.
In this instance, it feels like they're even, they all said it's not. This was a coincidence. I think Mike Hayes himself said this is coincidental, but because of you have it in this order, it just, the optics of it look like that's a lot more intertwined than it is.
You could tell. So I'm not here to preface this. I'm not here to slam Mike Hayes at all. Okay, the guy, we talked about it before.
Tough situation.
Tough situation.
Wouldn't have been easy for anybody getting into that.
Yep, where he is drinking from the fire hose, as was mentioned by one of the aldermen. It's just, there's a lot going on at one of the most busiest, difficult times of the year to be.
It's a lot of pressure hitting you all at once.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure, but it's not just that. It's just like, this is the hardest in your whole year of being an alderman or alderwoman.
This is
the most difficult time. Yeah. And this is your first day on the job. Like, it's a really tough situation. So I have confidence he will work through that stuff. But he had the choice of words that he used when he reintroduced it was, I want to have a reconsideration. I believe that was the word that was used on it, of the motion that was made concerning the League of Cities, which was corrected by the city clerk saying, at this point, it's just an amendment. It's not even a reconsideration because the rules have been suspended. And they're like, yeah, that's true. So you could tell he was planning on bringing this back up, whether or not the rules were suspended, is all I have to say on that.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed. I want to spend a couple minutes on this. I'm disappointed. And this is my personal feelings. I understand there's a broader game. I'm personally disappointed in the rules being suspended. And this is why.
Why?
Well, I'm not going to get as passionate as I was earlier.
Why? See, this is what we're here to do now. We're here.
Yeah,
we're
Corey says, Mike did a good thing reversing his vote. He educated himself and realized he voted wrong. Corey,
specifically, yes.
Yeah, specifically, yes. And I believe I tried to preface that earlier. There's nothing wrong with what he did there. Nothing wrong with changing his mind. It's just that, yeah. I don't have any problems with it. For me, it's not about being in the League of Cities or not being in the League of Cities. That's not what it comes down to. There's a whole spectacle that's going on now. And that's something that now we get to fight through some more state perception. You can say that I'm being dramatic. You can say whatever you want about that. I don't agree. I think that there was a lot of like,
no, the state's making fun of us. Why BS about it? They're gonna call us dumb Minot again. So here we are.
Yeah. So, all right. That being said, where was I going?
You had a big point.
I have it now. I'm back on track. All right. So I believe that suspending the rules for the meeting allows for future years the budget process to get crazy and I'm going to use this word that we don't like in partisan or nonpartisan politics, but politicking is going to get involved. And what I mean by that is there are some ways that you can get around accomplishing some very specific goals at a budget process.
Yeah.
And on the spur of the moment, off the cuff, my cuff was producing some pretty fine thoughts on this. One is something that was said, hey, we shouldn't do this a year ago. And then this year it was said, we can do that. And that's on the first time when that city manager's budget's presented, is they can go and take a knife to that budget right then. And what happens is, if my memory serves me correctly, is there's a notice that is sent out to property owners soon after that says, this is the max levy you're going to have. And the city can't go above that levy. And so suddenly you'll be locked into a levy where you have to make it work. That's something that could happen in future years. Something else that could happen in future years is you have the first reading of a budget and not a single amendment is made. You have people that are going to bring amendments, but they don't bring on the first reading, and they bring them all in the second reading. So it's final. So you don't get to go and
takesies backsies.
This is not on, to be clear, I'm not talking about the League of Cities. There's other amendments that came. We already clarified that. The rules were suspended. The League of Cities is probably something optically, it looks like it was because the rules were suspended, but when you actually dive into it, probably not.
That was going to happen regardless.
Most likely it was going to happen regardless.
But we're about to get into some other stuff that needed the rules to be suspended to come back up.
And that's something that could happen where you don't get anything. Or this is something else that you could do, which would be, to me, the most fantastic move ever, it would be a terrible move. It would not be productive, most likely, but it'd be hilarious. That's what I mean by fantastic. It'd be a hilarious move. And that is, you get your first and you get your motions and your second to approve the budget, and then you just call the budget. You call the vote. You just call the vote. So
Call the order.
yeah. Call the vote right after, and
You have motion to approve budget second. Then when discussion
vote.
happens for amendments, first person speaks up. Call to order.
call the vote, and
Yeah.
then you're just
You're
you
locked
have
in.
to you have according to Robert's rules you have to vote. Those are options that could happen if people wanted to get aggressive
Yeah.
with how it goes. And my only deal is, and I don't know, we've said enough on it. I honestly don't want to cause any problems or anything like that. I just think that was like maybe one of the, in baseball, they talk about unwritten rules, and it just felt like, and that I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it felt like it was close to that area.
It was a bit of a gray area where if you're going to do it, this is probably the instance you do it in. But however,
What are the ramifications of it?
Doing it opens up I think.
See, it's like in baseball. Baseball is the ultimate sport in this area of, okay, you did that. We remember it. And so then the next game, the pitcher just beans the first batter.
First guy up, just drills
beans
him.
him.
Yeah.
And you're like, why'd you do that? Well, because yesterday you went and you stepped on the chalk. And we don't do that at our home park.
You over exaggerated your bat flip after
Right.
you hit a walk-off home run against us because we blew
Right.
the pitch.
So it just feels like it opens another Pandora's box of games that could be played.
Which we've seen a few of them.
All right, so
You want to go to comments or you want to keep going into this motions?
we'll go to the comments real fast.
Okay. Apparently a few.
Yes, Robert's rules of law were followed. Robert's rules of order were followed. Suspending the rules for a specific reason is allowed. We definitely were specified that this was definitely within the rules. We are not saying it was without the rules, outside of the rules at all. That is not what we're saying at all.
Because like we mentioned in baseball, everything that was done in that is technically legal as well. It's just the unwritten portion of it that brings the gray area into question.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with
nothing's wrong with it at all. And it was brought up by another person. Like, I just hope that down the road that this is something that we'll do as well. I think it gets the motors going a little bit further. Yeah, the leaving the League of Cities was not something that the rules of being suspended for had. Those are, in my mind, optically it doesn't look that way, but when you sit down and actually look at it, leaving and then rejoining the League of Cities in the last 3 weeks, it had nothing to do with the rules of order being suspended at all.
That was, again, you could take the whole conversation about the suspension of rules out. I think this motion was coming back up regardless.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, that's a different story.
There was other things that were talked about. A couple of the ones that were affected was a position for a heavy equipment operator, I believe, around $85,000 that got added back into the budget. Then there was a motion to remove $2 million in property tax relief, essentially,
For lack of better term.
We'll talk about that more in a minute, so we'll clarify that because there was a motion later on that covered that. But there was instead of using $2 million out of reserves to go back to the people, it would go instead to the pension fund to pay down that. There's a $73 million that is being paid over a period of time, and so right now we're on track, but concerns that potentially as less people are paying into it, we could get off track or whatever. It was first brought up by Finance Director Lakefield, and then it was
They started having some conversation
the
about
amendment
it.
was produced after the rules were suspended, because that was one of the amendments that the rules had to be suspended for in order to be brought back up. But so the two motions that were affected by it the most were the $85,000 heavy equipment operator and the $2 million amendment. Those are the two.
And the first one, that $85,000 addition for a new heavy equipment operator was passed. That will be coming back onto the budget. That was in a 4-3 vote. Then you had the $2 million that you were mentioning that failed in a 2-5 vote. So that one will continue to stay off of the budget. And after that, we again had conversation on the vehicle replacement fund, and
Yeah, but it's not a fund.
I know. Yeah, go ahead. What is
Yeah.
it?
So basically, there's two terms that are used very close, from my understanding.
Almost interchangeably, but they shouldn't be.
There was a plan to actually create a fund for the vehicle and equipment replacement. And what it would have done is there would be money that would be paid into it and have this whole program of replacing the vehicles over time. Okay. And instead, what they're doing is allocating money to replace vehicles, and then each vehicle has to be brought to city council in order to get replaced. Mm-hmm. So it's less. The vehicle equipment replacement fund would have cost more money. Mm-hmm. So it's just pared down. To use the word version is probably going to go, and someone would be like, it's not a version though. Mm-hmm. I see it as a version of it.
For lack of better term, yeah.
Yeah, I see it as a version of it, but it's not the full vehicle equipment replacement fund that they were trying to get going. So
this way everything comes back before council and they have to approve it, from what I gathered from it.
Absolutely.
Okay. After that, we had more discussion. I know there was a lot of talk about the facade program as well, about maybe moonlighting that, maybe taking it away, bringing it back later. Sunsetting. Yeah, excuses. Same principle.
I like the moonlighting better.
Yeah, that was close. But no, there was a lot of discussion about that. That was the one that was largely a clarification motion. I put that in my notes there. Yeah.
There was a lot of talk around it, but I guess you could have it as a clarification motion for sure. Basically, at the end of the day, right now, there's probably not everyone's seeing eye to eye on what the future is for the facade program. Mm-hmm. Sunset was mentioned by multiple people that don't always vote on the same side. Okay. But moonlighting wasn't mentioned though.
No, it was sunsetting. That was a good one. I got a good one there.
But anyways, there's definitely a side that's saying, hey, we want to make sure that everybody that's currently in the program stays funded. We're not here to mess up anybody. That was something that was coming from Alderman bless them. Not trying to mess up anybody that's already in the program. The question is, do they want to allow more people in? That's where seeing eye to eye on, and I know Alderman Penner mentioned sunsetting, but I believe that sunsetting means just evolving the program into something different. And that was mentioned as well. Like, if we're going to have this program, it needs to affect more than just downtown businesses and things like that. I don't know. We've had a lot of conversations with people outside our lives where we're doing these interviews talking about how Minot's downtown has been positively affected by not just the facade program. That's been one of the things, but that how it's made a positive impact on them. I think that's something that should be pointed out.
Yeah, 100%.
I also think though that, so I think, I don't know about having a program that only impacts a certain portion of the city. Okay. That's a conversation to be had. I do think though that the downtown is in a lot better place than it was maybe 10 years ago. And so maybe time to look at other places that were, I think, impacting the whole city probably would be a better route. But if it's going to impact certain geographical areas of the city, then we should go and just look at that now.
To be fair, with the start of it all, there was a reason that they specified it for just downtown too. Downtown Minot post flood needed rework done to it.
They mentioned like studies saying where it's most effective, or it was something like that was pointed out in the council meeting today.
Yeah,
or yesterday.
The area of Minot that has some of the highest foot and people traffic in town.
Yeah,
and it needed a boost up. But now you sit here 10 plus years later, and it looks fantastic. Downtown Minot's great.
Looks a lot better.
Yeah. There's maybe a couple places that need a little bit of work, but it's not anywhere near what it was 10, 12 years ago.
We could take a drive through Minot and we could find other places that need some help as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the whole point of it. Like, go look at North Hill. North Hill has some very
interesting places.
Yeah, not great. And we go and we talk about being the, whether you agree with it or not, we talk about Task Force 21 and the impact that has on the base and stuff. Well, what about the impact or the fact if somebody were to fly commercial and they were just going to the base, they may never see the downtown area. But what they would see is, when you turn out of Airport Road to head north, you're going to see some motels that don't look the best. You're going to drive past a ghost motel essentially at this point. You're going to see not one of the better parts of Minot. And then you're going to go and hit country. Yeah. And then you're going to end up at the base. Is that something that, so is that a place where we should look at going and
I think that's where
investing in?
I think that's where the discussion goes at this point.
Yeah.
Like, do we want to expand this and open it up to maybe not literally the entirety of, but the vast majority of Minot? Or do we want to just say that this maybe has done its job and it's worked and we're good with it at this point? And you can sunset it out, and then the Renaissance Zone can maybe take over a lot of the, pick up some of the slack that might be left behind in some areas around town.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So there's that.
Yeah.
Facade program. It's mentioned 4 projects in the works for the facade program. 420K should be plenty to complete them. The newly added 200K just prolongs the program by potentially adding more projects. Probably true. There is an attempt to prolong it. I don't know what the next step is for it, and that's what needs to be figured out. Basically. Moving on. You normally have a chronological event of the entire deal, so whatever reason for land.
After that, we had some questions on some possible cuts that might affect the airport, which it does not.
There was a 328,000, I believe, was a number that was proposed by finance director Lakefield, who just saying these are cuts that I see as being able to be made, and so it was said, let's go ahead and pass them.
Airport was just curious if that was coming out of their revenue or if that was
how that was going to actually affect them.
Yeah,
and it was concluded all is well in the world. Yeah, but 328,000 or more cuts.
After that, then we finally went and reduced the mill levy at that stage. And that passed, I believe, unanimously, crazy enough. And then the final budget was approved. Was there anything else I'm missing?
There's a couple things that we're missing here. And one of them is this. This came out of left field. Did not anticipate this coming. There was a couple things that did not anticipate happening. One, I did not anticipate Jimmy Kimmel getting a shout out. I didn't see that one.
Yeah, he did get name dropped in there at one point.
He did get name dropped. Yep. The other thing that I didn't anticipate was, introduced by Alderman Blessum last year, was basically a plan, because there was the city had in the reserves above the state limit, $7 million in change. I don't have the exact number, but around $7 million, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. That's the number. It could be off $1 million, but right around that. Yeah. Last year, they did a buy down. I say buy down. They gave that money back to the people, a portion of that money, and there was part of a multi-year plan to get this all returned to the people. Was what Alderman Blessum's plan was.
Don't give it back to me. Just don't take it in the first place.
Well,
that's Kyler opinion. Just keep talking. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. That. Well, we can come back to that.
We'll go down there in a minute. Go ahead.
Basically, the reserves had gotten to the place where there was so much that is in excess that he had a plan to get the money back over multiple years. So last year there was some. This year it was $2 million. Next, and I believe there's 1.6 around left after this year.
Yep.
And so that was that amendment that was made. He originally made his amendment last meeting. It got passed, and so then it was brought up again this meeting to take that $2 million from going back to the people and instead go to the
retirement kind of.
Yep, retirement pension fund. And so that's where that came from. Well, later on in the meeting, Alderman Pittner made a motion to just say, you know what, if we're going to do this, let's just get it done. I didn't anticipate that happening. Blessum goes to comment on it. He's like, totally agree. Let's go. So it became 3.6 the total amount that was going to be given back
there. Yep, of the budget discussion.
Interesting, Bill. What's interesting to me, and I don't know why, and I haven't asked a question, so I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just curious why this wasn't that big of a deal. And what I mean by that is why we had exceeded the state limit, and it wasn't that big of a deal that we exceeded it. It was just like, oh yeah, we did. We'll get that fixed.
Just one of those.
We'll spend that money. Like, and spend the money. We'll go put it towards here. We'll do whatever. But it never went back to the people. I agree with the idea of like, that's kind of strange.
I think that goes at that point. I think it's on the state to actually enforce some of those things.
I agree with you there. And so it's more of a question. Well, I think there is a question that could be asked of the council members in Minot.
Is this a guideline or is this a mandate?
But it is something that to be asked of a state rep of why in the world is this something that's just optional essentially to follow?
Yeah. Why?
And maybe it's just not, it doesn't happen that common. So or that often. So people are less concerned about it. It could be something like that.
Yeah, that's a fair point. And we're sitting here now,
but to your point, don't take the money in the first place. And so I somewhat agree with that. But what happened? Well, I would have to go back every single year to know exactly what happened every single year. But generally, what happens is that they take the money, they have extra of it, and I'm not opposed to them having extra of it. I think that we should like have a goal of like, we're within this amount of money on our budget, because we would hate to be negative year after year. Right. So, but we should be a little bit closer on that. Okay. And then if there's extra, then that money goes back to the people. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit different. That's a little bit different than what you said, because you said, don't take the money in the first place. And I agree with that. Like, let's try to get it tight where it's close to balance and we're not having an excessive amount of extra. And I'm not saying that there was an excessive amount of extra. I'm just saying that any kind of extra does accumulate over years. And so we should have maybe a better process. I'm sure that there is a process a little bit, but maybe a better process of getting that money back to the people. Yeah,
no, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
I just would rather them lower taxes instead of saying, hey, we're lowering. Yeah, but what about 2 years from now?
Right.
We can't do this anymore. I don't know.
When we can't do what?
Put $3 million from reserves towards property tax budget. Like, I don't pay property taxes. It don't bother me.
You will.
Someday, hopefully, if I can afford a house someday in this market, we can build new houses. That'd be great. Sorry. Let's go to commercial.
Yeah, let's go to commercial. All right, we'll be back in a minute.
In the demanding world of oil and gas, precision, safety, and efficiency are non-negotiable. Unmanned operator drone services revolutionizes how you monitor, inspect, and manage your operations. With cutting-edge technology and expert operators, we deliver real-time data, detailed reports, and actionable insights for our valuable clients. Why risk the safety of your team or waste precious time? Our drones access even the most challenging areas with ease, reducing downtime and enhancing safety across your sites. We take the guesswork out of your projects by offering LiDAR, mapping, and inspection services so that your projects stay safe, on budget, and on time. Unmanned operator drone services, where technology meets safety, precision, and efficiency. Contact us today to elevate your operations. Yes, pun intended.
Enjoy Minot's finest authentic Mexican cuisine with a view at Mi Mexico. The rooftop patio is open and ready for you to enjoy a margarita or other cool refreshment along with genuine mouth-watering Mexican entrees. Mi Mexico, South Broadway.
You like Mi Mexico?
I love Mi Mexico.
You do?
That put me in a better mood watching that. Oh, I'm out of my drink now. I'm out again.
Now he's back in a bad mood.
Drink's empty. Mad. So, finalizing the budget conversation, the mill levy did get reduced at the end there.
Dude, there was, we'll see what the final numbers look like, and I don't know what the final mill is, so I'm not going to speak to that. But the numbers that were mentioned at council was that the final budget, property tax part side of the budget would be around $20 million. Did you hear that?
Like 20 or 21, something right in that.
Somewhere in there.
Range,
and that's down from the city manager's budget, which was at 29, around 29. City president's was around 27. So, and I understand that that's in part due to a lot of the money giving back being used from reserves. So 3.6 million from there. But even at that, you'd still be around 23, 24 million.
Yeah. Like you're still going to,
That would still be pretty good.
yeah, that's
compared to on a bar graph, that would look good.
yes. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it'd be trending down.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. Some would
Yeah.
say, well, it needs to be cut more. All right. I think that there's steps that are being made though. And eventually it's got to stop being cut. I'm not saying we're at that point, but eventually it's going to have to stop being cut, right?
Yeah, maybe not. Never know. They'll just reduce it to nothing and everybody will pay for everything. The roads will be paid for.
People stop.
We'll pay tolls all around mine. It'll be fine.
People will stop subsidizing the budget.
Yeah.
Because right now,
We'll just subsidize the corporations.
oh my, Tyler, I can't get the guy to
No,
win. Today, Kyler will
today's
not
not
win.
it.
Oh my. Well,
But we do finally have an approved and passed budget.
we do have that.
It was passed 6-1. The only dissenting vote was from Paul Pittner.
And he gave his reason.
And yeah, he said, great discussion. This was,
A lot of great work that was done.
yeah, the generic
But-
stuff. And then I don't like it in the end. That was,
Well,
there I narrowed it down.
Yeah. I think he brings up a conversation, which is to kind of, I think you kind of alluded to it, maybe on air, maybe off air. So if it was off air, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. But how long can we go with a budget that is taking revenue from sources that are not property taxes?
Sure.
Let me clarify that. How long can we go with the property tax portion of the budget? How long can that go where it's getting money that's not from actual revenue from property taxes? So the point is there was money used from reserves for part of the budget. That's not something we can do every year.
No.
Eventually that has to stop. And then Paul's point is you're using sales tax money for property taxes. Okay. So
Generally-
is that a good idea or not?
Yeah. Like generally safe, but very much a fluctuating number.
And this is where I
Very
don't
fluid. There
I have
you go.
I have no idea. Because this is like a circular conversation right there. You have the Minot Park board that was trying to do it. You have this 3% cap that's on there. Like eventually, okay, we're going to talk about cutting. Then, like in a year or two, we're going to talk about cutting people. That's what it's going to be. Already, city manager at the time he was interim,
Yeah, hey,
said,
shout out Tom Joyce, first full meeting as city manager.
First full meeting.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Shout out Tom Joyce. But at a previous meeting, he said that like he's given to department heads, like we'll hire again this time, but maybe not next time. So there's going to be potentially attrition, and that happens for some positions.
Yeah, when it's the natural decay, you have people retire out and that job gets dispersed out to others. That's
Right.
That's
So that's going to happen. That will happen, and then potentially we get to the point where we have to cut people. I don't know.
yeah. Two different parts there. Yeah.
Probably stuff that it will be looked at in the long term. I don't know how it plays. I think the biggest question though, and I end with this positive note with the one-on-ones that I do, and it's, are we headed in the right direction though? Do we feel like this budget?
Ask me that right now.
Okay. And you don't feel that way.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Objectively, I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Because
Right now,
yeah, mentally you're not feeling
no,
great about this.
But objectively, I don't know.
Because I think that's the biggest question is, okay, we have to realize that with a budget, we have the cards that we're dealt, and we're trying to play those to position ourselves to be in a position of the road too, though. And so are we positioning ourselves where we're going to be able to build off of the success of this budget, or if it's a terrible, then the fallout from this budget? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, because we're locking ourselves in with not fully. Like
Yeah,
we're
because you have 3 years.
Yeah, we're setting a boundary for where we can grab from for the future, which I don't say grab lightly, because taking an extra $5 million or whatever the number might end up being, give or take a little bit, they're grabbing that from you at that point. And this narrows that range a little bit at this point from where it would have been.
But then that goes back to, if you're concerned about the 3% cap, then that goes back to raising property taxes.
Yep.
Which is kind of the opposite of what you're at.
Yeah, I agree.
So
that's where I'm at. Like objectively, I don't know.
I mean, one good thing that happened, okay? Let's just find something positive. Sunday night, the Mariners won.
Oh, yes, other things. Yes, that did happen. Go Mariners. Padres lost, though.
This guy,
gonna get
this guy over here.
gonna-
There's still more stuff to talk about city council meeting, but this guy over here tells me live, in air,
Hey,
Padres don't play on Thursday.
I thought they didn't.
They don't play.
They did.
I go, I don't know why, but I went and no, I think, yeah, somehow I see that a game is going on. He said no baseball Thursday.
I thought
his
I saw
words
that.
were no baseball.
Yeah.
And
I admit that.
Padres did play. He was trying to go and distract because he did not want the Padres to win that game.
Yes, my third party indirect distraction from
If the
a
Padres
North Dakota
won.
podcast.
Yeah. It was very intense.
Threw him off.
Threw him off. Padres lost.
Clearly, Manny Machado is a regular viewer of our show here.
Yes. He
Shout-
was so
shout out.
disappointed. That's what you thought. Yeah, shut up, Manny. Yeah, very disappointing there. Where Kyler's not going bald.
I know. I am getting a haircut soon, though. Don't expect this
Yeah,
hair
we're
to get
thankful
too
for
much
that.
longer. Yeah.
All right. So
It's all it's a
other
hot
things
mess.
that happen. Just I didn't hear what you said.
It's a hot mess right
Oh,
now. It
gotcha.
just does
Yeah.
what it wants. I got to cut it.
Yeah, I got one of
But
those
we're
haircuts.
not shaving it. Thanks to
I
the
hope they
Padres.
mess up. I hope
She won't. She never messes up.
I hope-
She's a legend.
Yeah, I hope the guard falls off.
That'd be sad.
That'd be epic. I really don't hope that because
I'd
I don't really want that to happen to me either.
I'd rock it. Why not?
Yeah, it would look great. Keep the beard.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
go bald beard.
Yeah, there we go. All right. There's a lot more that happened at that city council meeting.
Was there?
There was one conversation about the local preference.
Yeah, there was.
That local preference creeps up again, probably for the last time for a while, because there was a official vote on it. It is no longer have city staff bring back a solution. It was no longer any of that. It was this is it. There we go.
They finally brought it up as a whole, as a
Yep.
finalized piece to
Right.
really get everything going, and they had a vote. It was the local preference. It was the 15-mile radius for a company around Minot to be given that second chance to kind of go in there and double down that bid, which is that's a dumbing down of what it is. But
Yes, but to be very clear, because I believe that there was a little bit of not misinformation, but
questionable.
yeah, it was words didn't always seem to fully match up. My understanding of it was that the way it would work is a company A puts in a bid, they come at $5,000. Company B puts in a bid, they come in at $5,200. So they come in $200 higher. I assume $200 is within the 5%. Okay, I didn't actually do the quick math. I believe $250 would be 5%.
Yeah.
So it's within the 5%. So then you can go to company B and you can be like, hey, your bid is too high. You're within the 5%. Do you want to match this bid? And then they can say yes or no. It's not that, oh, we'll take the higher bid. This is my understanding of words that were said. It's not that they would take the higher bid. So
Yes.
So
Yeah, you're right.
it would not cost more money, but the idea is that potentially you would get people that would not bid on the projects because they're like, probably get local match anyways. I'm not going to waste my time. And so then bids could go up over time because of less people bidding. That's something we'll never see in Minot, or not never, but we won't see in Minot soon.
Not in the near future, at least.
And we will only be able to know based off how other places did it.
Because it failed in a 3-4 vote.
And for better or for worse, that one, I like the sentiment of it a lot. I do. I don't know if it makes actual sense. I lean towards it. Okay. So to be very clear where I stand on this, I do lean towards it, but it's like a 60-40. It wasn't where it's like, this is something we should do. It was like, it makes sense. I can see how it could be beneficial, but I'm not fully convinced on it. But I lean towards it a little bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. I'm guessing you're like the other side of it.
And you want it? I don't know.
You're not sure where you stand on it.
I don't know. I am.
You don't like it at all.
I don't hate it. I love the concept of it,
Right.
of giving local preference, but
Yeah.
I think you're just making the good old boys club of Minot richer and stronger that way.
Yeah. Right.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Where it
that's
would
fair.
have gone.
That's fair. Yep. And that's something that, like, for that kind of stuff, not a fan of.
The interesting part to me, because obviously the hinge vote on this was new alderman Mike Hayes.
Yeah.
His which on a lot of these he was.
Well, he's considered the hinge vote because he's a 7th member,
Yes.
for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And we know where the discussion has been to this point.
Yeah.
That's why it's such an awkward spot for him.
Yeah, 100%. And the interesting thing when he was talking about it, he mentioned how he didn't like the 15-mile radius.
Yeah,
he thought it should be
state.
like a statewide thing, which I get where he's coming from. But if you're going to do it, you got to, if you're going to keep it local, you got to keep it
Right.
local at that
Yeah.
point. Like maybe 15 could have been 30 or something or 40. But
Right.
like,
Yeah.
generally speaking, if you're going to go through with it, you got to keep it, I think, more narrowed down than just North Dakota even too. So I understand why he went against it, but
Yeah, I agree that it doesn't really fulfill the concept of it. And I think 15 miles was trying to keep it inside of Velva, keep it inside of Max, keep it inside of Berthold was specifically mentioned.
Yep.
Keep it inside of those. And I think it makes sense.
no, if you're going to do it, you got to do it.
Yeah, I think how the proposal that was put together by city staff and obviously is initiated by a council member.
And a couple meetings ago, they had a lot of discussion on it where they really hammered down some of those where they wanted staff to kind of go with.
I think it was as good as you get. That it just comes down to if you agree with it or not.
Yeah, which this council did not.
Yep, and that's fine.
Yeah.
The other thing that was talked about a lot was the sales tax.
Yeah. That
That actually happened before the budget.
was all at
We were so excited about budget.
just had to jump right in.
No, I think we did that right. Sales tax.
And how or if that would be changed, or how it would be changed if it were to be changed.
And it got changed.
Yeah.
And so basically,
And there was a lot of discussion about how, before we dive into the depths of what happened, just generally, there was a lot of talk about how this would get reworked into numbers and stuff in the budget.
yeah, and it still doesn't fully make sense to me. I'll be honest.
I-
That was one
half why
area.
I'm mad stuff. Makes me mad.
Kyler. I love it today. So that we're not going to go too deep on it because we'll misspeak, but what I took from it, especially as the conversation went on, is that the economic development portion of it will continue to fund the MAC-EDC.
Yep. MAC-EDC isn't going anywhere. They're getting their money.
Well, it's not that they're not going anywhere, though. Their money is still coming from
they're still-
sales tax.
yes.
And that was a huge emphasis.
Where the money comes from.
Yep. And then later on, it sounded like the $200,000 that was going to the facade program would also come from this. And then after that, it would go into the general fund and be done with. However,
Yeah, because initially when it got brought up, Alderman Pittner motioned to decline it, which there was a lot of confusion about how votes were supposed to go at the start of the meeting with that. And it was didn't even make it more clear for me. I thought the extra additional conversation made it worse.
got it more confusing. Yeah,
frankly, for me.
But so I get that fact that you have to be intentional and you have to be strategic up there at the dais. I've not been at that dais, right? I've been at meetings where motions mattered, but not at that dais, obviously. I get you have to be strategic about it. You have to think through processes. And this was one of those strategic things. He didn't want to see it pass. So he got his amendment out there and, or he got his motion out there. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And I think that in most of the time that's healthy because that's how he feels. That's how potentially the people that have reached out to him feel and stuff. And so he's supporting that. I don't have a problem with that at all.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear. Like there's this, I think just to be very clear because this rounds back to the suspending of the rules. As we mentioned when we talked about it, the suspending of the rules was a legal thing to do. Just don't think it was a prudent thing to do. That's simply where I come from on that. I think I'm allowed to that reasoning. I don't think it was a prudent thing to do.
Yeah, because now they're just going to keep playing games with each other through at least next June.
Right. It opens up unnecessary games. In my opinion, unnecessary games. Yeah.
Hope I'm proven wrong, but I don't expect it to change in the next
I
couple
don't
months.
even know if it ends at next June. I think
No, I'm saying at least till next
right.
June.
No, I
That's
hear you. I
that's
hear
because it probably doesn't stop
we
then.
do our best. We do our best. Yeah, I'm not going to go there right now. All right, go ahead. So
Sales tax.
It basically becomes discretionary. And what was interesting, it was pointed out in the sales letter. Yeah, that's my other job. In the president's message and letter to council with the budget, there was a proposal to reduce the amount that went to economic development from 15% to 10% of that penny. And that was pointed out, but that's what was being referenced, because sometimes things get pointed out and it's general.
This was specifically referred to.
And the reason why, so this kind of summarizes what I was going to say earlier. Like, we don't try to call out council people, members. The goal is not to call out specific ones.
Yeah.
If we did that, we could go through each and every single one of them, and each of them have their things that we could point out. Okay.
We're not here for that.
We're not here for that. There's specific things that are like, all right, this is whatever. And so that's why we're not trying to muddy the waters there. Nonetheless, gets lowered from 15 to 10%. It was mentioned, well, this is what was mentioned in the president's message. Okay, great. Eventually that measure did.
Yeah, it got brought back after that initial motion failed 3-4. The motion to pass it was brought up, and then that passed 4-3.
Right. And what was brought up in the president's message was just changing it from 15 to 10%. This does not do that. This changes it where it funds specific things, and then the rest goes to general fund.
Yep.
So just to
little semantic kind of thing there. It's definitely gets into the weeds with it all if you want to watch it. The best part about the whole thing, I think, was the finance director David Lakefield's presentation right at the start of the budget.
Always
talk.
does well.
Yeah,
Does well.
That was the best part, and after that, it just went downhill.
No, I think the second best part for me was when they would mention, all right, we had a meeting about this.
Yeah, there's a lot of reference to that. That phrase was said.
At least twice it was mentioned. All right, so we anticipated that this could come up, and so this is the way it should work. And then there was something else, I think, with the sales tax and trying to understand what happened, and there was disagreement on what was going on there.
Yeah, because finance director was sitting up at the dais tonight.
Just for accessibility.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly.
Jenna was there too.
Yeah, they knew they were going to be that much more active tonight in the final reading of it. So instead of having to go up back and forth the whole time, they just had seats up at the dais.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've pretty much said my piece on the whole thing, and I'm not wanting to dive back into any weeds.
Nope.
I think like a discussion that's going to come out is the first reading versus second reading stuff.
Yeah. Just some of the fallout from all of that and where we go for next year kind of thing.
Yeah.
And at this point, though, it's all finalized. Budget's going to get sent off to Ward County for approval.
But all right, you're going through the process, but to stay on that for a minute, first reading versus second reading, you mentioned, I believe it was you that mentioned, should we have a special meeting where there's the hearing part and then there's the amendments that are made?
I think so.
And the kickback to that,
asking me that,
the kickback to that is, well, we want to hear the raw thoughts on it and see the motions that come. I think if you did,
I don't think you should be guided by emotion in this point.
No, the motions. Sorry, I made it sound like emotions.
Well, I still have a point to make on that, but go ahead.
Okay, go ahead then.
Okay. Well, because initially, say, when you have the amendments come right after you have the people speak, you could get riled up one way or the other from someone talking, and all of a sudden you're changing your vote over that when just because you're worked up in the moment for whatever reason, good or wrong. Now you're changing your vote for it when in reality, if you slept on it that night, you would vote the same way you normally would have. And maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't personally like it, but I can see and understand the argument why that is a beneficial thing.
Yeah, I think so. It would be essentially a terrible process. Okay. But if you had something like where you had your budget hearing and then the next day you went and met and had your actual amendments from that first reading, and then you had your second one. Maybe if you did something like that, I don't know but you had discussion about that first reading.
Yeah. Like, I don't think it should be weeks later, like a week,
No.
like it would have to be a day or two later at that point if you did it, just in the hypothetical realm of what we're talking about here. Like, I just don't know if it's one of those things that you really want to prolong more than it's necessary.
And a good point is brought up by Alderwoman Lisa Olson. There were essentially, or in all actuality, there were 3 budget meetings. Motions were made during the work session on September 9th.
Very true.
And that, because I know after those motions made, we were kind of bummed that happened because, like it was all done right and whatever, but it was unexpected. That would be the word that would be best. It was unexpected because everyone was anticipating that first reading, where a lot of that happened.
Which I think it was a necessary thing to have that.
Oh
meeting.
yeah,
Like,
for sure.
I think it
Totally
was
get it.
incredibly prudent, to use a word you threw out earlier.
Wow, that sounds like a good word.
I know. But no, I think it was a good thing to do with that meeting.
Yep.
Maybe, I don't know, you could argue if it should have been before or after the first reading, I guess.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
other than that,
I think that the biggest deal though is for me is it was still a decent crowd yesterday, but I think as citizens we need to make sure. I'm going to say this and then I'm going to clarify one thing off of it. Make sure that you stay engaged through the whole process. You have that first reading and it's like, I went there, spoke my piece, I did my job. That's where the public hearing is. So you have that, but still show up that next meeting and follow through on that. That's not to say that council needs watchdogs on them, like they're going to try to pull the wool over our eyes. I don't feel that way. I'm sure there are areas that feel that way with their council. I don't feel that way with our council at all.
No.
I think they do a very diligent job, them, staff, making sure that the public is informed. But if you are not engaged, you're probably not going to be informed. There's not going to be billboards up around town, right?
Yeah.
You got to be looking for it a little bit.
yeah, to that point, I was remotely engaged before we started doing this stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, I had a
Right.
pretty good idea of where stuff was at. But when you really start diving in and starting to engage in the stuff heavily, you start to see a lot more of what you're talking about there. Like you start to think, you're thinking beforehand, they like to pull the wool over your eyes kind of thing. And, this smoke-filled room in the dark corner or whatever. But in all actuality, when you dive into this, no, that's not the reality behind it. You might not agree with the decisions that are made and how the process works out, but I don't think any specific person is out there trying to hoodwink anyone for anything.
No,
I
agree.
I don't see that.
I agree with that. Yeah, it's good stuff there.
Is that where
It's
we
good
end?
Pretty close to it.
Okay.
Pretty close to it.
I wanted to try to give you something positive for the end, if you can
Yeah.
count that as positive.
I appreciate that. Finally made it full circle. I still think that raises for city council should be in order.
Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. We'll advocate for you guys on that one.
Yeah, you will. I know that.
Should we start a petition on
Well, I don't know that it'd get very far because
people wouldn't like that.
A lot of people don't agree with that one.
No.
But dude, they don't get paid much.
Yeah, you get
and
hosed.
I get the idea that they shouldn't get paid like.
Yeah, you shouldn't be getting 40, 50 grand a year to be a city council member.
No, not in mine. But also
a grand a month is a little.
It's a little bit low.
Yeah.
It could be with the amount of work, and it's talked about like budget season and it slows down. Yeah, it slows down somewhat. Like maybe in December, it's
and
pretty busy all year.
The dead of winter, but
but what do you want them? You don't want them to be involved in things that are going around town. You don't want them to show up at your
the thing.
event and because whatever. You don't want them to do all these things,
especially in those times of year,
right?
Like how many public events go on in the dead of winter between the post Thanksgiving to right after New Year's time frame.
Right.
Ton of stuff going on. Same thing in peak summertime. How much stuff is going on outside?
There's always stuff going on, right? And you would love for them to, and they do a good job of sacrificing and doing those things.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like pay should be commensurate.
Yes. I think that's a great way to end it, Jonathan.
Great way to end it. We said our feelings. We've supported. We've been all around on this one. It's been a good time.
It's been a time.
Thank you for tuning in.
Everyone still here. Appreciate you all for finishing off with us.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching this episode of Minot Talk here at the Dakotan every Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're live at 9 a.m. Also, though, we had an interview come out yesterday with Senate Majority Leader David Hogue. Talked about a few
Jonathan
things.
did a great job with that. You guys should make sure to go check that one out.
Tomorrow, rumor has
it.
I think rumor will hold up. Rumor has it that tomorrow we're releasing an episode that was done with Ryan Ackerman.
Oh,
I'm excited about that one.
interesting. Yeah.
I'll be honest, I really enjoyed the conversation with him.
Did you? Went a lot better than you. Well, not saying you would have thought it went bad.
No,
Just it went well.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk with Mr. Ackerman much, and it was really enjoyable.
That's good. I love to hear that.
Yeah, it was just a good conversation. People will have their feelings on stuff that was said. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, great guy.
Awesome. I look forward to watching that one.
Awesome. Thanks for watching this episode of Minot Talk. We'll see you next time.